What is going on, Wealth Our Way Nation? It is your main man, Charles Tank Harris, the founder and chief visionary officer of the financial literacy platform Wealth Our Way, where our motto is wealth is not only for the wealthy. I welcome each and every one of you to the second episode of the year of the Financial Power Hour. And it's going to be real powerful tonight. But before we get into anything, you know, I got to show the attitude of gratitude and thank each and every one of you who are here with us live as we stream across the Wealth Our Way Facebook and YouTube platforms. I also want to give the Wealth Our Way Nation salute to all the good people on Wealth Our Way who watch this program pre-recorded overnight, on the weekends, on their lunch break, wherever they can squeeze some financial literacy in. And then a heartfelt how are you to the good folks on the Life 101 platform who listen to the audio of this here program. I got to say this, you know, and you guys who have watched this program before, y'all know I get touchy-feely and emotional. I'm a big softy. There is nothing, you know, there's a phrase we use. We invent a lot of different phrases in our environments. And one of the phrases we've invented and come up with, the brothers have come up with, is your network is your net worth. And I got to tell you, when I can pick up a phone and text or call or email and get the type of lineup that I have tonight, it speaks so highly of the traversing I've done in the financial services industry to meet cats like the ones who you guys are going to meet tonight. These gentlemen, all three of them, and we're waiting on Devlin, but we're going to get into it right now with Chad and my man Jimmy. These gentlemen are not just some of the most intelligent people that I have ever met, but let's keep it 100 and you will see their personality shine throughout this hour. They are the most comfortable people to be around. Like, you just feel, I don't drink, but you just feel like you want to crack a beer open and sit up and lay up and rap and talk about anything with these cats. And that's why I feel so honored and privileged to have these gentlemen on. And we're going to spend some time right now introducing them to the audience. We're going to start with my main man, Chad Copeland, and then we're going to get into my man Jimmy from By the Hood. We're going to do it right. And before we start, I'm going to add my man Devlin to the stream, and we're going to go. So we're going to go Chad, we're going to go Jimmy, we're going to go Devlin. Everybody introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's an honor. This is my third time, I think, with the Wealth Our Way family. So I'm humbled and was appreciative when Tank reached out. My name is Chad Copeland. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, with George Washington. Studied economics. From there, I graduated and did professional blackjack, led a professional blackjack team for 3 years. And early on that journey, I stumbled across cryptocurrency. Very fortunate for that. Started trading and then unfortunately turned into an investor later. And then recently taught a cryptocurrency class that will be released in 9 days on the 21st for high school credit. It talks about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency from a technical side. On the side, I'm also a business manager for a few athletes, and so I help them maximize their platform off the field. I'm honored to be here again.
We love having you, brother. Big Jimmy, get it. Tell us what's good, baby.
What's up, family? First and foremost, Tank, I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to speak to your audience. It's appreciated, man. And I got to say, man, being able to contact a brilliant brother like you is also, added value to my life, man. Because, not just about your brilliance, but also a brother of integrity. So really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, family.
Yeah, but I'm one half of the By the Hood team. Shout out to my partner, Corey.
Big Corey, what's up, baby? You on next, baby. My bad, Corey. Don't be mad at your boy, Big Tank. We're going to get you right in here.
So just to get a little bit of background about myself. So in terms of education, I have a bachelor's degree in business management, a master's degree in real estate property management, and my background has been in real estate. I've done everything in real estate, from an investor to a developer to a valuation specialist, and my foray into cryptocurrency. So I had a little bit of finance background as well. I used to be a securities agent as well as a life insurance agent. So I had a combination of real estate and finance as a background. So my partner Corey is actually the first person to introduce me to Bitcoin. But when he first did it, I didn't want to hear about it. I said, listen, I'm a real estate guy. Don't care about it. This was 2016. But he kept pestering me. So I bought a couple Bitcoin because at the time it was less than $1,000. What happened eventually is it moved so fast during that bull run in 2017 that I literally got scared and sold it. Right. I sold it because I never had an asset to move that fast. But what I did was I bought a rental property that I still hold to this day. But the smart thing I did was I continued the dollar cost average even after I sold it as I studied. I said, let me study some more and keep going. But right now, let me cash out because I don't know what's going to happen with this thing. Right. And through my studying, I now have a certification. I'm considered a certified Bitcoin professional. So I do a lot of education around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. We have 2 courses at By the Hood University that teach about cryptocurrency. We have a summer camp we've been doing for the last 5 years in the community, actually 6 years. This past year, we did it online. So we have a free summer camp for the youth ages 5 and up. It's completely free. And we teach them about the concepts of money, teach them about cryptocurrency, real estate, the whole nine. So that's kind of, we're really a community organization, but, we practice the things that we teach in terms of, practicing real estate, the stock market, crypto. We practice what we preach, but we teach and give away. So we're really a community organization. So that's my foray into crypto, but thanks again for sharing your platform, good brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. We're lucky to have you. And I can't wait as we get through this show for everybody to shine. And, we don't like to say we save the best for last or last but not least. But this is my cat. Of everybody that's on the broadcast right now, I've known Devlin the longest. He's like a brother to me. Dev, introduce yourself to the people. You're a repeat offender on the show, but tell everybody who you are.
I obviously clicked the wrong link because I don't belong in the room with those guys. I mean, you guys are teaching classes and helping the kids. Shit, man, I'm just trying to make money. So first and foremost, thank you guys for supporting my friend. As Tank said, we've been brothers for 20 plus years now. Done it all, seen it all. 4 seasons to the drop. Our first business we did together, as he alluded to in an episode earlier in the week, was in technology. I was still in high school at the time. You actually gave me a couple of years. I think I was 16, maybe 17 when we first met. Entrepreneur first, inventor. I hold 5 or 6 U.S. patents now, all in the technology space. Been doing it since I was literally founded my first tech company at 16. I'm 39 in a couple of days, so been out of the while. For me, it's not necessary. Bring it back to crypto. It's always been about the tech. My first investments in the space were in Ethereum, not in Bitcoin. I was a late adopter, and I'm still, honestly, my what gets me excited is still about the technology side, not necessarily the monetary side. So that's where I approach it. I approach it from the utility. What can this tech do? Where are the gaps in the businesses that I participate in, especially in real estate? My wife's a broker. Understanding where those needs are in the marketplace and where crypto, smart contracts, and distributed ledgers fill those gaps.
Man, you guys, we about to do the thing tonight. So here's what I want to do. We want to keep it real conversational. We also have many people who are in the chat, many people who are watching. I encourage questions from everybody. The way we've changed the format up this year for Wealth Our Ways broadcast are that we do 2 15 minutes of finance programs, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and on Wednesday we sandwich them. Inside the Oreo stuffing is the power hour. And the whole week keeps the same theme. So I introduced the theme yesterday. Tomorrow, anybody's questions we didn't get to tonight, the brothers will definitely make sure that they give me any answers that are needed, and I'll address them tomorrow in the wrap-up show. But we're going to just get right into it tonight. I find, as a financial planner who is trying to teach people to increase their net worth and to improve their wealth and to be able to pass on legacy wealth, the advent of cryptocurrency as a new asset class is so bewildering to folks. Like even Brother Jimmy said, hey, I made a bunch of money and sold it because I didn't know what it was going to do. It is challenging. Like, y'all see the gray hair. I've been in the business since November of 97. I got started at Smith Barney back in the day. And I was told you cannot make money without a commensurate amount of risk. There's risk and return relationships, and you got to look at the historical returns of markets. And crypto has changed a lot of that. But I've been around long enough to hear over and over again about paradigm shifts. This time it's different. This time it's new. And you have to stick to your principles. And I'm going to touch on an exercise that I did that I didn't even share with you guys before the show is over about dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. But what I want to talk about right now, for people who just tuned in because they heard the word crypto and they're like, I finally got to find out what this is about, all the way up to the person who owns already some cryptocurrencies. What is cryptocurrency? Why cryptocurrency in your portfolio? And just, go and answer at your pace and at your length. And we got enough minds on here where we'll touch the question. Why cryptocurrency?
I guess I'll take it first. For me, I think it was something my grandfather used to tell us, and it was a poor rat has one hole. And it was the idea that you didn't ever want to position yourself where you have one option or one exit out. And for me, and I definitely didn't get into cryptocurrency thinking this. It took time, education, investment, listening to podcasts, reading books to get here. But for me, going down that Bitcoin rabbit hole was great because you learn a lot about cryptocurrency, but you also learn a lot about traditional finance because I needed something to compare what I was getting newly exposed to. And so I needed to understand both. And through that education for me, I saw a lot of shortcomings with that system, and no system is perfect, but it just seemed that it was designed in a way that makes it difficult to get the life that I envisioned for myself. And so cryptocurrency was another option or another market with liquidity that is, yes, volatile, but I felt if I put in the hours to master that, I would at least have another option to play in a different field. And personally, me, I like that it was 24/7. So
yes,
if compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world, the way I viewed it is the more opportunities I can give my money to work for me, ideally 24/7 because it doesn't get tired, the more opportunities I'll have to grow.
That's love. Jimmy, what are your thoughts? Why crypto?
All right, so there's several reasons of why cryptocurrency. And first and foremost, I like to separate, say, Bitcoin from cryptocurrency, because to me they're two different things. Bitcoin is money, and a lot of the crypto projects are more tech plays. But what I'll say is this: a hedge against inflation, which is one. So one of the things I didn't mention in my intro is I also, was an investor in precious metals, and one of the things that made me love precious metals was because it was decentralized. It was between me and myself, how much I had, where I had it, it was not on a ledger anywhere specifically. And Bitcoin improves upon that, right? So Bitcoin has some of those same attributes of precious metals, but it's actually, you can carry it faster. So if I was to travel, say, on a plane, and I was to try to take, $1 million in precious metals, it's not going to happen. I can put my crypto on a wallet and no one's the wiser, right? So that's one thing. But the second thing is about cryptocurrency is it is a liquid market, for one. For two, it's the future. If you look at where the brain drain is happening in Silicon Valley in terms of where all the smartest minds are working, they're no longer going to the social media companies. They're working in the crypto space, right? So you have to pay attention to, like, you mentioned before, paradigm shifts, where the money is flowing, also where the brightest minds are working. So we're still fairly early. And I know it's very difficult for people to think that we're fairly early when they look at certain prices, specifically say of a Bitcoin, but we're very, very early. In fact, I was looking today, less than 15% of the population actually own any cryptocurrency at all, right? And so when you look at those things, and I don't get into this asset is better than that asset, because I think that they all have their place, right? But what I will say is this has its place in someone's portfolio. One, because it's not correlated to a lot of the other assets, but two, because it's that hedge against inflation. So I think it's very important for us, if nothing else, if you're watching this and you've never bought into cryptocurrency, just to start to read, start to study. I'm big on people learning and studying before they just jump into a space. So if you don't feel comfortable yet, buying anything, just start to study and read about it, because I truly believe this is the future. And the data shows that.
I completely agree with you, Devlin. Before I have you answer that question, I want to say something that Jimmy just touched on about its utility. Chad turned me on to, I love to read and I love to learn. I'm a math guy at heart, went to school, got a bachelor's in business administration and finance, but I went to school for actuarial science, which is the mathematics of insurance. If it's counting, if it's differentiating the area under a curve, I'm all in. So with that being said, Chad turned me on to this white paper by Paul Tudor Jones in regards to Bitcoin and its utility. And it was making a lot of the points that Jimmy made. You know, the only place that Bitcoin scored poorly against other assets was the fact that it's in its infantile stages, that it's so new. If you take away or leveraged out the newness of it against more venerable asset classes, there's no more superior asset class. Now, here's the thing, though, because we're going to talk about cryptocurrency all night tonight till we get off the air. I'm going to start right here with the first warning of the evening. Don't sell your house. Don't sell your car. Don't sell your baseball cards and go out and buy a bunch of cryptocurrency because these cats told you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm telling you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like Jimmy just alluded to, it is an asset class. And every portfolio should be diversified amongst several asset classes. And we are not too late. As you just saw, Bitcoin hit a high of 60,000 plus and drop back down under 40. The volatility is real, but be embracing of the volatility because it's buying opportunities. If you don't think that Bitcoin will ever get back to the previous high that it had, then you shouldn't invest in it. But if you do, you're looking at an asset that has 50% upside in it already. And I've talked to people who think that Bitcoin will be sitting at 2.5 million down the road. So we're not in too early. Devlin, why crypto?
So I'm going to piggyback on both what you and Jimmy were just touching on. So for me, it's an asset class that replaced my venture capital angel investing portfolio position. So when I look at coins and you know, if you go off top 20, picking up what Jimmy said, those are where the smartest minds are. Guys are leaving your .com, your you know, blue chip tech companies to do crypto startups because they have a good idea. And because with DAOs and because of decentralized finance and the ability to capital raise, it's the best place right now to find money for your project. So if you're looking for smart technologies that are going to propel the next generation, whatever industry you want to pick, and there's a couple of choice ones, but those projects are happening and you don't need to be a certified investor to get into them. You don't need to be part of a particular fund. You don't need to have a guy who knows a guy who can get you in. You can simply pick up your phone and within 5 minutes you're invested. You can read everything you want to read. You can watch it from a moment to moment basis, get in, get out how you feel like. If you've ever done any pre-IPO investment, that's a difficult process. And it's an expensive process. And a lot of times you can't get your money out if you have a change in circumstance or you no longer feel confident in the project. So this has fast tracked all of that. And it now just lets you from your armchair pick and choose what you hope will be the next unicorn investment.
I love it. I want to answer a couple of questions. We got some loyal Wild Nation family members in the audience. My girl, Sister Lindsay Bronner, she's out there in Cali. She says, what coin do you all think the best for beginners to dabble in while they're learning more? And we're going to do a part on here tonight where everybody names their top 3 coins. But can we jump in real quick and just answer? I think I know the consensus answer is going to be, but can we talk about what coin do we think? If I know nothing else about cryptocurrency and I want to get started, what coin should I look at?
Go ahead, Chad. You got it.
For me, it's Bitcoin as a start. Now, I'm 100% biased. I've spent most of my cryptocurrency journey studying Bitcoin, but I do believe that gives you a lens to understand the other ones. I'm not necessarily saying Bitcoin will be a best performer anymore, but from a risk reward standpoint, for me, from when you understand an insurance standpoint, like Jimmy mentioned, an inflation hedge, I think that's the one you can be the most comfortable buying and actually holding, right? Because Tank, we've talked about it. I have a trading portfolio and then I have a long-term portfolio, and most of my attention actually goes to my long-term portfolio. And I'm about capital preservation. And so the easiest way to do that is not paying a lot of taxes on stuff and trading less. And so that's the one coin. There's a few others, but that's the main coin, at least to me, that I feel comfortable holding it for a year. And even if the price is down, I think if you really understand it, Bitcoin price in US dollars is, there's price and value. And I think the value it gives you keeps you wanting to hold it.
What do you think about that, Devlin?
So I am a Ethereum first guy because it's how I got in. So I'll pick up that banner and run with it. Not to discredit anything Chad said. Either one of those two, you're in good shape. It's kind of the same story. Pricing is a in a volatile market, pricing is a bit established. They are the leaders out there. One of the things how I started investing in crypto, and not to give any financial advice, but Chad hit on it, is tax ramifications. So one of the great things is that there are now ETFs that you can trade in your retirement portfolio if you're self-directing your IRA or any of those other techniques that I'm sure you've gotten into many times over your tenure on the Wealth Our Way Nation. You can even minimize that risk and put it as part of your retirement. Play with it. Don't invest a lot, but learn. And I think that's the education. I don't know what everybody else's cycle was like, but I dipped my toe in and then like 60 seconds later did a swan dive. But but yeah, at least play with, like everybody says, don't invest what you can't afford to lose. But I don't think you're gonna be in that much of a risk position in either of those assets.
Brother Jimmy, you got the certification, baby, so you're gonna clean us up with this question. What do you think? You're telling your class, hey, it's first time, you got $50. What are you looking at?
Obviously I'm going to say Bitcoin, but Devlin, I do want to say something. I'm gonna steal that answer about like venture capital. That was an amazing answer. Like I gotta add that to my portfolio of answers. But Chad mentioned something earlier about Bitcoin and that rabbit hole, what we call the Bitcoin rabbit hole. When you go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, it teaches you about politics. It teaches you about education. It teaches you about finance. It teaches you about a lot of things. So Bitcoin, and getting back to the whole idea of it being an asset class, what was interesting about Bitcoin to me is someone that studied traditional finance, Bitcoin has attributes of real estate in terms of its property rights. Bitcoin is really about property rights. It has attributes of the stock market in terms of its liquidity and having its own market. It has the attributes of precious metals, like I mentioned before. So to me, once I started to understand that via going through the rabbit hole, to me, it became the best asset that there is, right? And another reason I say Bitcoin, because to me, Bitcoin is also freedom. So I run my own node. And by running my own node and having Bitcoin, I can operate completely out of the traditional system. And it's between me and my God in terms of what I do. And once you start to understand that, you get a different perspective of Bitcoin. That's why I like to separate the two. It's not that I'm against anything else, because I understand all of the different, different coins or what have you. But the reason I separate them is because when you start to understand what true decentralization is, and the fact that for something like $500, I can run my own node and kind of like just remove myself from the system, it's completely different than anything else. So I would always start with that, because Chad made an excellent point. You start there, and that's when you start your journey in terms of study.
Well, what I want to do is I want to answer Dele's question about how we do research, how you select your coins. He said basically he has, and it went up on me. It says I've researched cryptos, and I have in my investment portfolio some crypto assets that have utility in solving real world problems, which is the tech that Devlin touched on earlier. For example, in remittances and transfer of value across the internet globally. My brother Dele is Nigerian. I met Dele when we were at Temple University together. One of the smartest brothers I had. He started in pharmacy and he's just expanded. He's a great businessman. And I actually was invited by him down to Tampa, Florida, to attend the Nigerian business conference. And I was shocked. I don't remember what year it was that I went down there. I want to say it was 17 or 18, but I was shocked that in 2017, 2018, we're having problems sending money from America to Nigeria. That we have high costs of Western unions and things of that nature. And I wasn't dealing in cryptocurrency at the time, but seeing its functionality and its utility, there's an instant problem solver. You know, I don't want to go so high level in this program. I want to keep it basic for 2018. Thanks, Dele. Keep it basic, but I do want to say this about what some people could perceive as the complexity behind the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space is that they just will never understand what blockchain means, what you know a Satoshi is, and all of that. Here's what I have to say about that, and I want you guys to touch on it. This is purely from a financial planning investment advisor of 25 years experience. Almost everybody should be, you know, most people I talk to should be investing in something at some point. They have a job, they're in a 401k or 403b. Almost everybody has stumbled across some type of investing that they're doing. But if I were to sit down and grill anybody who has a 401k or an IRA about price to earnings ratio, price to book, standard deviation, alpha, they couldn't tell me. They couldn't tell me intelligently. But I have so many people tell me they're petrified of Bitcoin because they don't understand blockchain. I got skipped twice in first K through 12. I'm not going to be humble for a minute. I'm smart as hell. And I don't understand everything about cryptocurrency. But I know enough to know I have to be in the space. And that's why I keep my basic principles of using dollar cost averaging, of using a proper asset allocation. I have an investment policy statement that I amended to add cryptocurrency to. And as a result of adding the cryptocurrency, I made a pledge inside of my investment policy statement that cryptocurrency would never be more than 15% of my overall investment portfolio. Now, I may have to, just like the United States Constitution gets amended, I may one day come back and amend that, but that's going to be a board meeting with me to sit down and make a logical decision. You can't be emotional about this. I told the brothers I did something earlier today just for humor for tonight's program. I took what $100 invested every 2 weeks in Bitcoin. If you started on January 3rd, 2020, and you took $100 every 2 weeks and you bought Bitcoin with that $100, at the end of the year, you stopped. So in 2021, you didn't buy anymore. What would that $2,600 of investment be worth today? If you dollar cost averaged in like that, it would be worth today $11,678. It would be roughly a 350% return. If you didn't dollar cost average, if you took $2,600 on the first day and have held it ever since, it'd be worth $15,521, almost a 500% return. Now, I am a staunch supporter of dollar cost averaging, and I'll tell you why. But when you have a new investment and there's really nowhere but to go but up, dollar cost averaging may look inferior. You know, if you put all your money in on day one and something goes up 1,000%, you're of course going to make a more of a return than if you put 1/20th of it in it over a 20-month period. However, dollar cost averaging is designed to keep us from doing what Jimmy did and what I did. I did the same thing Jimmy did, not today. I wish I had 2 Bitcoin, boy. But I bought a bunch of Chainlink when somebody first turned me on to it, and it went crazy. And I said, "Oh, this can't stay this way." And I sold all my Chainlink, and it went up another 40% because I knew too much. I know old investment techniques, and I had to get my basis out. Mm-hmm. So I say that to say, as we move to the next question, how do you, when you're building out your portfolio, it's a combination of Devlin's question and somebody else asking about coins. How do you make the determination as to how much of your portfolio you're going to expose to cryptocurrency? And then inside your cryptocurrency portfolio, how do you decide which coins make up that sector?
Great question.
Go ahead with that, brother Jimmy. We went last with you.
Oh, no problem. So I'm also an avid DCA person. In fact, there's a website. It's DCABTC.com, and you can go back to the beginning and play with the different numbers to see what the dollar cost averaging will be, and it compares it to the S&P, gold, and things like that to show you the difference. So I'm a big fan of DCA. In terms of the percentage of your overall portfolio, I started with like a 1 or 2% allocation until I learned more. the more I learn, the bigger percentage of my portfolio it becomes. Now, real estate is still dominant in my overall portfolio, and crypto is third, but it's gaining a lot of steam because Devlin talked about it taking the place of pre-IPO companies. It's kind of taking the place of that in my portfolio, as well as precious metals, which I was an avid precious metals investor. So it's taking the place of two assets already. And the more I read, the more I study, the more I start to understand why it should be a bigger portion of your portfolio. But what I'll say is, if you're just getting into it, dollar cost average is the best way. And as you're dollar cost averaging, that's when you continuously do your studying. And then the more comfortable you feel from doing your studying, the more of a percentage of your portfolio you should make it. With that being said, I am a big believer in diversification overall. So, I'm not 100%, going into crypto. I know some folks that have, but I'm not there yet, because another thing I like to do is, and we could talk about this later, I like to use all of my assets in conjunction with each other, right? So a quick example of that is I now set up crypto banks, and I borrow from my banks to buy real estate, and then use the cash flow from the real estate to buy more crypto. And the reason I do that is because by borrowing from my crypto, I don't have any tax bills. So I learned the first time from selling and got to pay those taxes. Now, due to my studying, I recognize now how I can leverage my crypto as much as I want, as many times as I want. I don't have to get credit checks. I don't have to even show my social security number, and I can borrow as much as I want and use it to buy other assets, use those assets, so I work with those things in conjunction. So, I'm about literally creating your own bank with cryptocurrency.
What would you say, Devlin, about the concept of building your crypto portfolio?
So you touched on something that made me chuckle when you set your own personal contract about how much you're going to allocate. And I do the same thing, except I go through revisions every day, which I don't think is what you're supposed to do. My constitution has been amended way too many times. Wait, it's down. What did I say? 25%? I meant 30. No, seriously. So hitting on what Jimmy said. So when I started, I took a particular allocation of crypto assets. It was 5%. I said, okay, I'm not going to put $1 in over that. And then as I started to look at the different utilities, I attacked other segments of my allocation and said, yeah, but this does it better. So precious metals, gold and silver, gold particularly, it hasn't done anything. And this should be the time when it's doing everything with inflation the way it is. So it's like you keep kicking it, but it's not doing anything. So I've hedged away from that into Bitcoin. And then all my risk investments. So the side of my portfolio that is total risk money, I take about 10%. That's just venture capital, startup, use it or lose it money. That has gone tremendously into moonshot coins, startup projects. I was on, this is the one I keep coming back to with you, but I was on Matic a year ago, and I bought it as like an aside. I wasn't quite there yet in my portfolio where I was allocating anything serious to anything that wasn't top 20. And I threw a couple $100 on it. And then I watched the return and I'm go, why didn't I do more? Right. And those are the ones that get you. Just to hit on it real quick. I know a couple of us around the table here are gamblers in one way, shape, or form. And I think that's interesting. And I think that those skills that you learn playing cards, whatever your flavor is, really help you in crypto. The idea that you can place a bet, be confident in the bet, analyze the bet, know what the numbers are, and still be wrong, and still realize that you can lose holding what you think is a great hand. And then you can win with 7 deuce offsuit sometimes too. And kind of keeping that in mind, it helps you ride out the waves and survive the droughts. And that balance, trying to keep a level head when every 5 minutes you're checking your phone to see what's happening, especially on days like today and the week we've had. Having that mindset is, I think, critical. But in answer to your question, I allocate 10% to Ethereum and Bitcoin. I allocate 10% to startups, which aren't just crypto, but risk investments. And then I have 2.5% to 3% that's hedged against gold. Brother
Chad?
Man, I was smiling when he said the gambler's background, because I swear sometimes the only reason I made it in crypto is because I had that bankroll management background, and that's how I kind of view my portfolio. I assume I had a pretty different path. My first investments were into crypto, so there was definitely times where, I got up in the 80-70%, right? Me learning, I would never do it again. I would not advise doing it at all. But it was just bumps along the road that helped me learn as I grow. Now I'm closer to 25%. And even that is a little high, but I feel comfortable with that allocation. The main reason is, of that 25%, 75% of it is long-term stuff. I've established stuff, a foundation in other areas of my life that allows me to do that. And so Bitcoin and Ethereum make up the huge portion, right? I've talked about that. The main thing about my portfolio is ideally I want the most of it that can be passive to be passive, because I have a job that I focus on my earned income for. Outside of that, pretty much the same thing as Devlin, but maybe from a different lens, is how I view my trading portfolio. Is almost like venture investing. My experience with that, a lot due to proximity, has been how people actually allocate in venture. Some people might decide I'm going to do 10 angel or early round companies. 90% will fail, but that one's going to pay for, all those investments and then some. Same thing with growth and late stage with different dynamics. And so that's how I view it. Viewed it for a long time. It was just like a numbers game, and allocating the right way. More recently, I think I view it that one of the biggest mistakes I think I made, with a lot of wasted time, was going very horizontal with my studies, trying to learn everything. Because you see some price go up and your eyes look towards that. But every time I've gone with depth, in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and getting that actual understanding of a project, that's the area of my portfolio that's bared the most fruit, because I had that conviction and I could ride the waves and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have to make sure that we're avoiding the noise, because the noise will take you in any given direction, and you have to have a compass in any form of investing. It's the same thing in paper assets, stocks, and bonds. I want to change gears for a second and talk about NFTs. I want to talk about that. Devlin has been on my top for a minute saying, Tank, you got to get it. You need to do your own NFT. And we're going to, we're going to get it. We're going to get it popping. I promise. Once again, he knows I got to learn and understand everything that we do. But, one of the things I have to say, and as you guys, if you can't tell because of the lighting, Devlin's white. Sometimes he doesn't notice that, but he's white. And there's many members of Wild Nation who are white. I have to say that because as a Black man talking about financial empowerment and financial literacy coming up in the neighborhoods that I come up in, a lot of times I'll go on tangents about my community and what we didn't have and things like that. But, anybody who knows me knows I'm the most inclusive cat you're going to meet. And everybody is welcome at my table, and differing views, different upbringings, different economic structures, doesn't matter to me. So why am I going on that tangent right now? I have to say, even with that little precursor, I am so, without sounding condescending, I'm so proud of the Black community right now. I'm so proud of the conversations that I'm hearing that I never heard before. I went and got a fresh haircut so I could be with you handsome younger brothers tonight. And I'm in the barber shop, and my barber, he not focused on my shape up the way he focused on telling me that Nas came out with an NFT yesterday and broke his server. And I'm like, wow, this is what we're talking about now. We got Ja Morant on the screen up at the TV and the ESPN, but we're not talking about Ja Morant. We're not talking about who got shot. We're talking about NFTs shutting down servers. And I love it because, it's like a voter registration drive. When you're seeing cats on campus trying to get people to register to vote, they got a candidate they want you to vote for, but that's not why they're there per se. They just feel as though if more people vote, their candidate's going to be okay. I just want more people talking about money. I want more people talking about wealth. I want more people playing in the arena of something that will help spread knowledge and generational success than the silly things that we've done in the past. And that's in every community, especially communities that have lower income levels. So I want to talk about NFTs because I get approached. I work with professional athletes. Chad and his brother, who's a professional athlete, are clients of mine. And we delve into all different types of venture capital, all types of opportunities that come along. But the NFT space for athletes and entertainers is taking a whole nother level. And I had to explain this to my 17-year-old daughter the other day. We were coming from a movie and she started asking me about NFTs. And I was just trying to explain to her how, the best example, and Devlin does a great example of this, so I won't steal too much of his thunder on it, is being able to control what's yours, being able to always profit and prosper from what's yours. When I first started working with athletes, I merged with my good buddy, Sean G. Shout out to Sean G, the head of Live Nation's Urban Music Division. Sean G ran the music side, I ran the sports side. And I would always see him on the phone or argue with somebody, trying to figure out somebody's royalties, trying to figure out ASCAP, all these different, no, that song played in Beijing yesterday morning. My man told me he heard it. And the tracking systems are archaic and ridiculous. Now you can produce something on a non-fungible token that the only way to access that thing is through this non-fungible token. And it is a technology that you can't get around or sneak around. Once you access it, ching, ching, I get paid over here. So can you guys, who are much brighter than me in this space, talk about non-fungible tokens? Then I want to answer Brother Corey's question. Who wants to start on this? I'm gonna throw right up this Devlin.
You shouted me out. I'll pick up on it. So that's the side. So in all full disclosure, I don't get the art, the digital art side of NFT, right? I haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet. It's just an educational curve for me. I don't really understand the value proposition. I'm working towards it. But what does make a lot of sense to me is if you are an artist of any way, shape, or form, and you're producing a work that other people want to see and enjoy, it is, in my mind, the replacement for art, where art sits in your portfolio. If I give the example of, a famous artist who paints a beautiful work and sells it for $5,000, and then that art, after changing 2 or 3 hands, sells for $100 million. That artist doesn't get anything more than the $5,000 that they got in the first place to sell it. Their family doesn't benefit from it. Their estate doesn't benefit from it. Yet someone else down the chain just made $100 million. With an NFT, you write directly into the contract that with each transaction that occurs on that asset, a percentage comes back to X account. And it just is. It doesn't have to be proven. It doesn't have to be, you mentioned ASCAP and music. That's the one that hits home with me. My dad was a musician. I grew up around music. I have books and books of sob stories about guys who recorded the track and then were replaced by somebody else when they went on tour and they never got a royalty check. And you got to hire an attorney and you try and fight that. Those days are gone. I should be able to produce something that other people want to consume, no matter what vertical it is, and I should be compensated for it forever on my terms, however I define them to be. And if you don't want to pay for that, then don't buy it. But if you're going to accept my terms, then here they are.
I love it. Brother Jimmy, what are your thoughts on NFTs?
Right. So I have a love-hate relationship with NFTs. And let me explain to you why. Because NFTs are actually one of the earliest use cases of the blockchain. They're not, there's nothing new about them. But so here's why. So a couple of years ago, Corey and I actually taught an NFT class, and people literally were laughing at us and like walking out. Like, what are you even talking? You sound crazy. We were talking about buying land on certain games, right? Now, because we did this a couple of years ago, we were buying land on Sandbox for like $8. And you can look up now and see what the land on Sandbox is going for, right? So we have several lots on Sandbox and all that. So we've been doing this for a while. But the reason I say I have a love-hate relationship is because it's going to sound crazy. The more attention that's gotten into the NFTs with the celebrities and things like that, it's become so watered down that it's very difficult. There's so much noise out there, right? So when you go to OpenSea now, and and OpenSea is the biggest NFT platform, right? So, and the great thing about blockchain and NFTs is everything is verifiable. So you can look me up on there. My name on OpenSea is Eth Sweat, ETH Sweat. You know, shout out to Keith Sweat. But anyway, so my name on there is Eth Sweat. So you'll see that I've owned several pieces of land in that specific account. But what I noticed through studying NFTs is it's become very watered down and it's hard to see. So I think the best use case for NFTs we really haven't even seen yet, because the technology aspect of it is amazing. Like you said, when you apply it to music, or you apply it sort of like a proof of purchase, like those kind of things, when you start to apply it to tickets to a basketball game or something like that. Because, you know, think about if someone is buying all your tickets and going to scalp them, you won't see anything. But now if you run your tickets as an NFT, when they go to resell, you see. So I think the best cases of it we really haven't even seen yet. So the technology is what I love. But also, and one of the things I want to mention about not just NFTs, but crypto in general, because it is such a new space and there's so much going on, there's a lot of scamming going on.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be very careful, which is why when we're talking about specific projects and coins, I always say do your research. I don't advise people buy most things out of the top 10 unless you have that gamble part of your portfolio. I'm okay with everybody having that gamble part, but for the most part in your core portfolio, I wouldn't do that. There's so much scamming going on. I have a running list, and I think right now is at about 2,100 projects that have ICO people put money into that are dead and they just stole money. Literally over 2,000 projects I can point to. But again, it's because this space is so new. With NFTs, one of the tricks that people do is you can create as many wallets as you want to. So they'll create multiple wallets, create these artificial prices and set floors on NFTs. So you think that the lowest price might be 2 ETH, but all they did was sell it to themselves. And because it's anonymous and on a blockchain, you can't tell that, right? These are some of the things you see in the NFT space. So just be very careful as you get into the space, because, you know, the people that mean well and the people that are in the technology are there, but all the scammers are there as well. So that's why I say I have a love-hate relationship with it. But I think from a technological standpoint, we haven't seen the best use case of an NFT yet.
I appreciate that. Brother Chad, you want to bring up the rear on that topic?
Yeah, I won't have much to add. I don't have, you know, same thing Jimmy said, love-hate relationship with it. Reminds me kind of the early days in Bitcoin where, like, there was a point, I think there's that conversation about bad actors using cryptocurrency. And a lot of that was from maybe how it was used in the early days. Because, you know, technology is innovation, and innovation is always ahead of where the market is. So I'm on the same kind of spectrum as Jimmy on the idea that, like, I love what the potential of the technology. You know, Devlin talked about how it connected with him with art. You know, for me, it was the ticket sales. I love going to basketball games and football games. And when I really put the math together about how a business could make way more money using this technology, it connected with me. And so I'm on the same page. Lower the technology is, but it is, the market is fraught with scams, and there are some good ones, right? There are good projects, but you have to do your due diligence is all I say. And, you know, expect that most of these will fail, probably go underwater, but I think that's a good thing in pushing the technology further years down the line.
I want to answer Brother Corey's question about DAOs and whether or not anyone thinks that'll change venture capitalism. And I'm going to let his brother start with the answer, and then we'll go around the room.
Yeah, Shotko. I know he was saying that because I've been screaming at the top of my lungs about DAOs. They pronounce DAOs DAO for a little while. So the way I look at a DAO now is kind of how I looked at an NFT 2 years ago, right? So I knew the NFT was going to do what it's doing. I think that DAOs will be that next wave, where this time next year, DAO will be the term that everybody's running with. And what a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So it's kind of a way to organize on the blockchain. You get a bunch of people with the common goal together, and it's almost like creating an LLC, you know, for lack of a better term. But everything is on the blockchain. There's no government intervention. There's no anything. You know, what we say in crypto is, you know, you don't have to trust, just verify. So you can create an organization that is owned by the people that hold that specific project, and you can move to do whatever it is you want to do from a technological standpoint. You can, create a bank, or you can go buy NFTs or whatever, but it's a way to do cooperative economics in the crypto space. And I think that's one of the next parts you'll start to see. When LLC Twitter gets a hold of DAOs, it's going to be crazy, because they're going to start to see that I can raise capital without going the traditional routes, right? So there's a couple DAOs that I'm involved in now, like one being Sovereign. They have millions of dollars and raise capital, and nothing was the traditional way. There's a Bankless DAO. There's several different DAOs out there. There's a Maker DAO. So I think that is the next wave, and I think it will actually impact VC funding, because now I don't have to go and do all the traditional things I did in the past in terms of raising capital. I can create something around whatever my thing is that I believe in, and there's so much liquidity in cryptocurrency. You can have a multi-million-dollar DAO, and no one even knows. There's people that have DAOs and no one's ever seen them before. They literally have avatars which are an NFT. No one even knows what they look like, but they are a part of $1 million organization, and it's decentralized.
I love that. One thing I want to say is these terms are floating around in this information, whether we try to keep it low level or go high level on something. There's a saying that everybody on this show has heard before, because we've said it to one another. An intelligent man or woman knows what she doesn't know, what he doesn't know. There's so much to learn in this space that everything about it is new and constantly moving and changing. And everyone, I'm almost going to contradict what I said earlier about not needing to fully understand something to do it. I still believe that, but don't do something that you don't understand at all. You don't have to be a master of it and be able to teach it to somebody to choose to invest and make money in it. But don't not be able to answer 2 or 3 questions about where your money is and what you're doing. And as we talked about before, staying focused and not following for the noise. If you want to buy Bitcoin and never understand what an NFT is or a DAO, then buy Bitcoin. I'm hearing now, I got friends like Devlin, my boy Brad, talking to me about yield farming and all these other different ways to make money that go even more complicated and more complex than just buying and holding Bitcoin, staking. He gave me another term last week. I can't even remember the term that he told me on above yield farming. And the reality is that there's so much to learn. You do have to pick a lane and decide that's the lane you're going to learn in now, and then progress to the next lane. With that being the topic that we'll probably close on, there's so much that we didn't even get to. I told the cats before we got on, I had like 8 points I want to catch. I got through like 4 of them. But, prayerfully, maybe next quarter, I'll get this same lineup back on and we'll talk some more, because everybody here is making money and educating in their own rights. So let me always tell you guys this at my audience. We do this show for free. Like I do the Power Hour and 15 Minutes of Finance for free. This is my gift back to God, for God teaching me and bequeathing me the financial knowledge that has made my family very, very comfortable. So I have to give back, and this is what I do. But don't get it twisted. Everything that's worth doing is worth doing for $1, and everybody on this panel has a platform that they do for profit. So if you want to know more, you'll have a way to get in touch with people and learn more. But this program is for people who otherwise would not get the opportunity to learn, maybe don't have time or money to go to a 4-pay class. These cats who I love came here and gave their time for free. With that being said, if we could all close out with one resource that somebody in the audience can take and learn more about this, what we talked about tonight, I'm going to go with Nick Botta's Layering Money. It's a book. Nick Botta is a former Federal Reserve cat, and he talks about what this new currency means to the world. So it's Nick Botta, Layering Money. I'll put it in the chat. Jimmy, what would be your one thing that you would tell people about?
All right, so I'm like a nerd, man. So I do all kinds of reading. I got about 10 books right here on Bitcoin. Like literally, all these are Bitcoin books, right? But if I had to pick one, just pick one. Actually, I'm gonna give 2. The first one would be the Bitcoin Standard, right? You can see this. This is called the Bitcoin Standard. If you haven't read anything else in cryptocurrency, this is the one. This is, I like to call this like I like to call this the New Testament, right? Because the Old Testament is the white paper, and just as an analogy, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but the Bitcoin Standard is the one. The second book would be, it's a book called Bitcoin and Black America by a friend of mine, Isaiah Jackson. And I think this is a great book because it talks about the revolutionary aspects of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and how you can actually operate outside of a current system. So those would be the two books. If nothing else, you got to read the Bitcoin Standard, and the second one would be Bitcoin and Black America.
Go ahead, brother Chad.
One, again, Jimmy, those two books, Bitcoin Standard especially, and read Bitcoin and Black America twice, changed my perspective on how I viewed it tremendously. Gave me, again, a way better lens to really have conviction in the space. So beyond those two, for me, and this is just particular to my journey, as there's all these assets out there, like real estate, the stock market, cryptocurrency, and within your portfolio, you have to kind of decide how you weight that. But like I always say, an asset's only an asset if you actually know how to leverage it. Like a house is technically an asset, but if you don't actually know how to leverage it, you can miss out on some opportunities. And so there's recently a book that I've read, so it's recency bias, but More Money Than God. And it's about hedge funds, but they go really deep into a lot of the financial instruments that can be used and how to actually leverage them. And that was I read it last year, and that really helped me kind of manage my portfolio better across asset classes, not just cryptocurrency.
Dev?
So for me, I keep my finger on the pulse with a couple of key posters on Reddit or Quora, more message board style. If you're looking for just intraday, what's going on, what's the temperature check, introduction to new coins. I subscribe to one in particular called The Art of the Bubble. The free service is fantastic. Sebastian Purcell is the guy who puts it out. I subscribe to his Patreon, just get a little bit of the deeper information as I'm trying to get my feet wet in yield farming, which is way above my head. I didn't skip 2 grades in elementary school. So that's a source I go to. The other one is a gentleman named Marius Keimer, who's very popular on Quora and Reddit. The information is changing so quickly. So depending on what you're interested in, by the time it goes to print, it's probably old news. So get your foundation, but once you're playing, try to keep current on what's going on out there. Lots of forums you can join. There's a lot of scamming, a lot of noise out there, but just Facebook groups on the key coins you're interested in will keep you in the loop.
Yo, I just want to say before we close out, thank you once again. I could have never imagined. I mean, I guess I could have imagined because I know you cats in your minds and your hearts, but I could never imagine how with no, I played football when I was younger. We had to practice and rehearse and get things right. We literally had everybody on the show maybe 2 minutes before it was time to go on tonight. We didn't talk about what we were going to talk about, and it flowed so well. My heart is just full with gratitude for you guys coming on and sharing with the audience. I love my audience, and I always want to treat them to something special. And I don't think I've ever done anything better for them than this broadcast tonight. So I thank each and every one of you. We're going to go slightly over an hour as you guys sign off and tell people where they can find you at for further information. So we'll go clockwise from Chad to Jimmy to Devlin. Chad, tell them about yourself, baby.
First and foremost, definitely when we get off here, I would love to get you guys' contact information. But the way to reach me is on Instagram. It's in the handle @_CCOPE_. Another way to reach me is through life101.io. Life101.io is basically My older brother plays for the Falcons, but also teaches financial literacy for the past 4 years at UPenn. And when he first started it, he said that if he was only teaching it at Penn, he would view it as a failure. And so this past year, we're finally able to get it online in course style, and have some big plans in the work for the rest of 2022 to really make it an interactive resource for financial wellness tools. And I appreciate you having me, Tank. Appreciate sharing the stage with everyone here.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Jimmy, tell us about you and By the Hood and Corey.
Absolutely. So everything we do, you can find us at By the Hood on every social. That's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Is at BUYTHEHOOD at By the Hood. And our website is bythehood.com. And if you go to bythehood.com, we actually give away a free investment webinar, completely free, nothing at all, free 99, as I like to say. Other information about us in terms of crypto, if you go to bythehood.btc.us, that's bythehood.btc.us, because that's on Bitcoin. You get a free cryptocurrency guide that we have, which gives you all kinds of information about yield farms, staking, NFTs, best exchanges, all that kind of stuff. It's completely
Give me that again,
free.
Jimmy, so I can put it in the chat.
BUYTHEHOOD.btc.us.
Thank you, good brother.
Yeah, and that's completely free as well. And last but not least, we have a couple things that we have. ByTheHoodUniversity.com, where we have the multiple courses we have. In our free camp for kids, I always want to make sure I talk about this because this year is going to be bigger and better than ever. We have a new sponsor to help our camp. You go to bythehoodcamp.com and you'll see information about the camp that we do every year. And like I said, it's for kids ages 5 and up. It's completely free. And you know, it's just amazing because we have kids now that are crypto traders. They have their own stock portfolios and they're like 5 and 6 years. It's amazing to see. So, you know, just take a look at that as well. But Tank, I just want to thank you again. Anytime you call, you know, I'm here, but I always love sharing the stage and having conversations with you because, you know, I don't got to tell them. You already told them how brilliant you are. So but I just want to say thanks, good brother.
I appreciate you, man. Always love. Dev, what you got for us, baby?
I got nothing, man. I'm just here to support you and everybody else. And as this thing that we are all still very new to, the world is still very, very new to, takes off. I just want more people on the plane. So that's my only agenda here.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And you know, we gotta get nice for your birthday coming up.
Yeah, be your own bank, y'all.
We own a bank. There it is. You know, be your own bank. Hey, I want to thank everybody, and I want to wrap up with the motto that I have come to love, and I hear it in my sleep because I say it every day. Wealth is not only for the wealthy. I thank each and every one of you for being here in the audience, my guests, and we're going to keep doing this every week. Now, I will say this. So next week's Power Hour is going to be Tuesday as opposed to Wednesday because I got a great speaker, Dr. Sabrina Ellis. She's written a book called Wife Life. It's empowering women on their finances, but she's also a pastor. And Wednesday is Bible study night for her. So we moved to Tuesday, especially for her, because I don't mess with the Lord. I do my thing. When the Lord say go to the next day, I go to the next day. So next week is Tuesday, but then we'll be back every Wednesday. We got some things in line for you guys this year, just like this, that's going to blow you away because I want to empower everybody. Because once we can get past these little things that hold us back and make us think that we're so different, we can all realize we're trying to educate ourselves, feed our families, and show love to the earth and just pay back the blessings that we've been bequeathed. So thank you guys for joining me tonight, and we will be back next week. Talk to you all soon. Thank you so very much.